Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Hammer. Today is Monday, December 4th, 2023. I, of course, am with Originator Success here with the Daily Rate Lock Conversation, the only place on the web where you guys get to be a part of the conversation, our morning rate update. Thank you for joining me. Remember, you can join me live each and every day, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. If you're watching on the replay, don't forget to give us a hashtag replay. Let us know in the comments whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. If you're on Facebook, give us a thumbs up, all that good stuff. Tag a little friend. Share this post in a group. Remember, you can sign up for our written lock advice, www.ratelockedvice.com. Get our text alerts, www.ratetextalerts.com. Check us out at originatorssuccess.com. Let's say hi to the live folks. See who we got here this morning. Rob Stewart, good morning. Bobby Searson, Monica Dinkins, Ron Siegel, good morning, y'all. Mike Morano, good morning. Glad to have all of you here today. Mike Tebow, how you doing, my friend? Hope all is well up in the Michigan area for you. All right, let's tell everybody what's going on this morning. Mortgage-backed securities down 33 basis points. Looks like enough to give you a heart attack, but it's really not. We were down a lot on to start the day on Friday. Got a lot of gains. Take a look here. You can see it pretty clearly right here on the 2-day chart. Really a nice run up on Friday afternoon. So although we've got a little bit of weakness this morning, it's kind of just a pullback. We're still better than when most pricing came out on Friday. That means that most rate sheets are actually going to be a little bit better today than what we saw on Friday, although there were a slew of reprices better. And they tend to be more conservative, though, when it's on a Friday. So should see pricing very much in line with what we have been seeing. When you're looking at mortgage rates, though, I mean, the reality, let's super zoom in on this. I mean, look at this. We are seeing the best rates that we've seen in months. We're about a point lower than where we were just a month ago, in actually a little more than a month ago in October, when we were hitting the worst rates of the year, worst rates of decades. Now we are seeing significant improvement. Taking a look at mortgage bonds here, when we look at this, stretch this out for over a year, right? And you could see that the last time that we saw levels up this high was up in February. We were up here in April. We saw mortgage-backed securities hitting that 102 mark. Significantly better than where we're at today. And also then in June, we were right around the 100, 101s. You could see that we were up here as well. So we are poised to see some of the best rates and pricing we've seen probably since April. We're actually pretty comparable, close to what we were at in June. So this is fantastic. We finally have crossed the other side of that chasm. Things are good. Reprice risk on the day is low today. Very unlikely that we see bonds continue to lose a lot more ground from here. They should be pretty good. Let's see if I can. Let's move this over. There you go. So you guys can see this here. Again, we had a nice little bump up on Friday, kind of falling back down to earth. But I think we'll see things turn around from here. We have a lot of economic data coming up this week. This is the big jobs week. So tomorrow morning, we're going to get JOLTS, job opening and labor turnover survey. We're going to get that tomorrow morning. Any sign of softening to the labor market is going to help bonds rally. On Wednesday, we get the ADP private payroll. And then on Thursday, we get our normal weekly jobless claims, which has been getting a little more attention than usual. I mean, this report comes out every single week, right? But it has been getting a little bit of a blurb on Thursday mornings. But Friday is the big day. Friday this week, of course, we get non-farm payroll data, wages, unemployment. That is what sparked a big rally and helped rates to rally last month in November. Taking a look here at the charts, you can see if we go back to about 3 months, you can see that was November 3rd right here. Actually, that was the 14th. That was CPI. So right here, we've got, as you can tell, we actually have two really strong candlesticks, right? We have the non-farm payroll, but remember, right before that, look here on Wednesday, we got that big run up too. Again, this is all jobs data. Last jobs week, we started the week Friday, we're at 97. We ended the week at 99. We were at 97.08, 99.14. That's over 200 basis points in improvement last time around. I don't think we're going to see anywhere near that much improvement this time. Right. It would be nice, but very, very unlikely. However, I do think we're going to see bonds go ahead and really rally. Taking a look here, you can also see, Friday very clearly busted above that 200-day moving average. We had tested it. We were up above it on Wednesday, tested it on Tuesday, above it on Wednesday. It acted as a support level on Thursday, gave us support, and they got a strong bounce on Friday. So this technical level, we can call this one stamped done. But the technicals aren't really what are driving things. It's going to be the fundamentals. The fundamentals being, when do markets think the Fed are going to go ahead and lower rates? And the reason that everyone is looking at that is because nobody expects the Fed to hold the Fed funds rate at the level that it's at. What's up, Ms. Millie? That's the kitty cat crying. Anyway, nobody expects the Fed to be holding these levels up as we head into 2024, because it's going to slow the economy down too much, and we can't take that. So right here, if we take a look, we'll start in December. There is a 0% expectation that the Fed would raise rates. There's a 99.7% expectation the Fed will leave them right where they're at, and the smallest sliver of hope that they would actually cut rates in December. Not going to happen. This is just, odd trading-ish. But bottom line, Fed's going to leave rates alone next week. And again, this week is part of a 1-2 punch. We get all the jobs data this week. Next week, we're going to get CPI data. We're going to get the PCE, or producer price, PPE data. So we get consumer inflation, wholesale inflation. We get the Fed meeting and the press conference. Right now, the Fed in a blackout period. They're not allowed to be out there rustling any trees between now and the Fed meeting next week. So it should be pretty quiet. January, everyone's expecting the Fed to go ahead and hold steady, but there's actually starting to get a little bit of momentum that the Fed may even do a rate cut in January. Very unlikely as of yet, but gaining a little bit of momentum. This was even unheard of 2 weeks ago. Now, markets are pricing that the Fed will actually have done their first rate cut in March. Barely pricing it in. It's a 50-50 shot here, okay? As momentum grows, if we get weak labor data this week, and if we get more good inflation data next week, and the Fed, we're going to see this rise. As this rises, mortgage rates will creep a little bit lower. Now, hopefully rates actually only go down a little bit at a time. We're going to have a lot of challenges as rates come down. So we'll talk more about that in a minute. But remember, the expectation was that we would have the first rate hike in June. Now, markets are pricing in that we'll have not just that first hike, but even a second hike by June. Right now, that's generally what markets are starting to lean towards. First one in March, that they'll pause in May, right? That's kind of likely. A little bit of momentum that we'd get a cut in May, but they think they'll pause in May and then go ahead and cut again in June. And that's what everyone is going. Mike said, hearing 4% unemployment numbers released this Friday. We were at 3.8, weren't we? So, I mean, it's possible. So again, any weakness, any labor market weakness is going to help bonds, and it's going to help things take off. Good morning, Tim Klyla, Kyle Mazikas, Steve Lacefield, Tom Dedmore, Scott Menzer. Great to have you guys here as well. So anyway, with this going on, the overall consensus is still we want to be floating. It definitely, based on what I'm seeing, I wouldn't lock a single loan if I didn't have to. I think that we have a really good shot of seeing rates continue to creep their way lower. It would be nice to see Mortgage News Daily and see this bump down into the sixes. I think we have a chance to see that. We definitely have a very good shot of seeing 2 weeks into December, 2 weeks from now, that we have seen better rates, rates more in an area of where we want to see. So Ron said we were at 3.9 nationally and that they're at 4.8 in California. So that's, kind of signaling where things may head, because they tend to run a little earlier. So anyway, looking at all this stuff, y'all, again, just finally looks like we've crested the worst behind us. Looks like we can see things improve from here. We want to continue to flow, especially loans with more time. The only loans you want to even consider locking are loans closing near term, in case we don't get the response to the labor data that we want. If we did see labor data come in stronger than expected, it could spook things a little bit for a few days. But as we go into next week's Fed meeting, it's very likely that they would fall again. But it might not happen in time for those loans closing in less than 15 days in the next couple of weeks. That's really the only thing that I would worry about. Otherwise, I am in a very clear floating stance right now, because we are in a position where rates are going to continue to creep higher. Now, remember, it's not just a straight line. They don't just go lower, 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 lower. You're going to have some days where pricing is going to get worse. Rates may jump at 1/8 of a point and then start to fall again. But we are going to see that. That's the direction that we're headed right now, as we start to get more data that shows any signs of a softening labor market or economic weakness. Markets now looking for when the Fed is going to cut, how often they're going to cut, and how deeply they're going to cut. And that's what all the talk is going to be now. If we start to see truly recessionary numbers, as far not as far as like inverse yield curves and stuff like that, but if we really start to see spending fall, if it's a weak holiday season, anything like that, that would spook things. But as of right now, remember, Black Friday was a very, very strong showing. Cyber Monday, very strong. A lot of money still being spent. We know that that money is credit money, but it's being spent nonetheless. So keep that in mind. But we are in a good spot, y'all. I mean, I think we're going to continue to go ahead and see rates improve from here. Thankfully, we are in that spot. Now it's about having conversations with people. You're going to listen. I don't know where people's mindsets go sometimes on this stuff, but you're going to have to learn how to stall people from refinancing. You're going to have to learn how to walk a line and avoid EPOs. If you've got somebody, you want to be staying in touch with your past clients, absolutely, positively, 1000%. You want to make sure that you are there when they are thinking of making a move. Don't let them, there's going to be a lot of people out there, a lot of desperate people. There's a lot of big companies that are hungry right now. They're going to be call centers going. You've got to make sure that when it comes to refinances, they're talking to you, and you may have to stall them a little bit. Be like, hey, we could refinance you now, but I think we might be leaving a little bit on the table. Things, right now, the outlook is things get a little bit better. Why don't we wait a couple of weeks or wait a month? Let's just see, because you're not going to want to refinance. Yes, you're paying a little bit higher payment for what you could, maybe one or two more payments at this level. You could save significantly over time once you refinance. You're going to have these conversations, y'all. And some people are going to be like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. And the best thing for the consumer. And, listen, this is not, I don't know what people don't wear a robe. You don't work in a monastery. Okay. You got to do what's right for you and your family too. And, we're not doing anything that's hurting the consumer, but you also, this is the reality. We're dealt originators today dealing with these EPOs at recaptured commission. That's just wrong. When you've done your job and you've done it right, you should never have to worry about somebody coming back and taking their money back. You don't see a teacher work the school year and then they come back and they're like, oh, these kids failed, so we're going to go ahead and take your money back, right? Firefighters don't fight a fire, and if the building burns down, they don't take their money back. How is it that we possibly, when somebody EPOs, again, I could go into why they're there. I know why they're there. I've been in the industry a long time. We dealt with a lot of people that used to make a lot of money churning loans. And it led to the scenario that we have now. The fact that the government doesn't allow the prepayment penalties, I think, is crap. I think there should be 6-month prepay penalties on a mortgage. Why not? Why not? But there's not. So you got to cover your ass. So as we're dealing with a environment where rates are dropping down, you got to make sure that you have some of these buzzwords, these catchphrases, that you are, staying in touch with people. Don't expect them to reach out to you if they get solicited. People, you think they're the most loyal, and all of a sudden then you get an EPO thing because they took advantage of something because somebody pressured them and they thought it was for real. It took me a long time to explain to my kids that just because somebody says we're going to give you special pricing today, it's only good today, doesn't mean it's only good today. So just keep that in mind. All right, my friends. Anyway, you guys have a fantastic one. It's a great way to start a Monday. Unfortunately, we are down a little bit as far as bonds go, but we're still up from Friday. So it's a nice day to start a Monday, and we'll see. This week should be a good week for mortgage rates. Keep our fingers crossed, and let's see how it goes day by day. I hope I see you tomorrow. Remember, we do this each and every day. You can join me tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. Hopefully I see you then. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.